Now, since we started this webinar, day one, on the day one of the webinar, I guided you about the changes which has come in the syllabus area D1, D2, and G2. I hope you remember that. Now, we discussed the syllabus changes D1 when we were discussing ROM, that you need to identify significant ROM or significant audit risk, or you might need to prioritize the ROM or prioritize the audit risk if asked for in the exam paper. But now we're looking at the D2 change, which pertains with data analytics. Now, data analytics is an article which is already published by the examiner. You can see the hyperlink here. And data analytics is an article which has also been examined in the past paper as well, because I think this is now a 1-year-old article. If I can show you the article on your screen, data analytics, you can download this article. It's already provided to you in the handout section of the webinar, but you have to read this article A to Z. I have already covered the aspects of the article in my YouTube session, so I will not be touching upon the aspects of the article. So if you want to read the article and you want the tutor to guide you about the reading of the article, that has already been covered in my YouTube session. So I will not be wasting time on reading the article, right? Now is the updates. What is your examiner expecting on it? So I have a YouTube session on it. I'll just give you the link of that if you want to play this. Let me show you the YouTube channel link here. Let me put it over here. So once you get this file, you can watch it on the YouTube. Okay, now let's look at the syllabus changes D2 from day one. I just copied them from day one, the day one presentation. I hope you have the day one presentation, right? In the day one presentation, the changes were there. I just copied them on my Word file. Let's see how and in what context we expect something coming in September 21 exams. Now be very, very careful for the next 30 minutes. The learning outcome in relation to the automated tools and techniques. Automated tools and techniques is a syllabus area, D1, right? D2, sorry. The learning outcomes in relation to the automated tools and techniques, particularly data analytics, have been extended this year. So examiner is saying particularly data analytics have been extended this year. Now the change in the syllabus is for September 21 up to the June 2022 exams. So the changes have been brought for September 21 up to the June 2022 exams. So examiner might put the change right in the first exam setting, or examiner might put the change in the December exam setting or in the March exam setting, but somewhere the change will come. If the examiner skip you in September, then he will get hold of the December exam students. Examiner is saying the learning outcomes in relation to the automated tools and techniques, particularly data analytics, have been extended this year. So examiner is saying the data analytics as a topic or as a learning outcome has been extended this year. How? In what context has it been extended? Now you might ask me a question. What extended? What extension? What extension? And how this extension impacts you for September exams? Right? So what extension and how this extension impact you for the September exams? In the next paragraph, the examiner tells you about the extension, Arsalan. And in the next paragraph, examiner tells you how you should be sure of this extension in your September 21 exams. So look at the next paragraph. Examiner says, the introduction of the learning outcome D2. The introduction of the learning outcome D2 requires the ability to evaluate, and interpret the results generated from these techniques, both at the planning stage and at the evidence stage. Examiner is saying, as a student going for the September exams, you should have the ability to evaluate, and you should have an ability to interpret the results generated from these techniques. Which techniques? These techniques is what? From data analytics. These techniques means data analytics, because that has been extended this year. So that is very sure now. Examiner is saying that as a student, you should have the ability. I will just give you the ability in the next 1 hour we have, or less than 1 hour we have. The ability to evaluate and the ability to interpret the results generated from these techniques. So is it possible that the examiner may give you the results in your paper of data analytics and you need to evaluate the results of data analytics, or you need to interpret the results of data analytics? Is that what means from the bullet number 2? So ability to evaluate and ability to interpret results from these techniques, both at the planning stage, which is the question number 1, and both at the stage of evidence, which is the question number 3. Evidence, completion, reporting. So examiner is saying that as a student, you should have an ability to evaluate and interpret the results generated from these techniques. So is the examiner expecting you to generate the results, or is the examiner expecting you to interpret and evaluate the results generated? Tell me. So is the examiner expecting you to generate the results, or is the examiner expecting you to evaluate and interpret the results already generated? Right? So what is the examiner expecting? Examiner is expecting that the student should be capable of evaluating the results generated through data analytics and given in exam paper. Right? That's what your examiner expects from you. So obviously you cannot generate the results in the exam paper, because you are not an expert in data analytics, but the results will be given to you and examiner expects you just analyze those results. How would that be? Look at the last bullet. Examiner is saying you may be presented with results of these techniques. See? Examiner is saying you may be presented. Examiner is not saying definitely. Examiner is saying you may be. So maybe means you might get it in September exams, you might not get it, but you may be presented with the results of these techniques in a variety of formats. So will you get the results in a variety of formats? Is that important? You will get results of data analytics in a variety of formats and asked to consider results. And you will be asked to consider results specifically or to utilize these results as part of the planning work. Is the examiner saying as part of the question number 3? Or is the examiner now specifically saying as part of the question number 1 in the bullet number 3? So you may be presented with the result of these techniques, right? In a variety of formats. So you might be presented with the result of these techniques in a variety of formats and asked to consider the results specifically. And so you might be asked to consider the results as a student specifically, or to utilize the results So either consider the results or utilize the results as part of planning work. So that means as part of what? As part of assessing the audit risk, or as part of assessing the risk of material misstatement. Now, understand very carefully something. So in the question number 1, where we have to assess the audit risk, or where we have to assess the risk of material misstatement, Examiner is saying you may be presented with the results of these techniques, and when the results is given to you in the question number 1 in a variety of formats, you may be asked to consider the results specifically or to utilize the results. So you may be asked to consider the results number 1, or you may be asked to utilize the results as part of your planning question. Right? Is everyone clear with the discussion? Now let's look at the last thing. Variety of formats. Examiner is saying variety of formats. The results could be presented to you. The results could be presented to you. I am not the examiner, but at least I am a tutor for AAA. And when I see this statement of examiner, variety of formats, the results could be presented to you, and you need to evaluate the results as part of risk assessment. This is what I am understanding as a tutor. Question number 1. Now, the only suspense here is the variety of forms in which the results could be presented. Now, just tell me as a student, if you look at the past papers from September 18 to June 21, and you look at the question number 1 of each of these exam settings from September 18 to June 21, right? Do it at home. Do it at home. Open the September 18 question number 1, then open the December 18 question number 1, then open the March-June question number 1, and go up to the time you reach the June 21 question number 1. You will see that in each of question 1, examiner gives you the extracts of the financial statements. Am I right? Because in the question number 1, when you are assessing the risk, you cannot assess the risk without carefully evaluating the financial results. So examiner gives you the extracts of the financial statement every time in the question number 1. Sometimes the examiner gives you the full balance sheet. Sometimes the examiner gives you a very minor looking balance sheet. So in question number 1, examiner gives you the extracts of the financial statement and what the examiner expects from you. And then the examiner expects that you carefully evaluate the results. You carefully evaluate the financial statements given to you and identify risk. Am I right? Sometime even the examiner asks you utilize the analytical procedures. Am I right? Utilize the analytical procedures. Sometimes the examiner even asks you utilize the analytical procedures. Just before the break, we were doing the December 18 paper. Did we had the balance sheet and income statement in the December 18 paper? And was the examiner expecting from us to identify the trends from the data, identify the ratio from the data, and where possible, convert them to a method which may cast doubt? So finding the balance sheets and income statements in the past paper, whether in a full form or a part form, is nothing unusual. Even examiner asking you utilize the analytical procedure in the past paper is nothing unusual. But now the examiner is saying, I will give you the results in a variety of formats using the data analytics. So that means the results presented to you in September 21 exams onwards might look different to the way results are presented up to June 21 exams. Am I right? So results presented to you in the September 21 exams onwards might look different to the way the results are presented up to the June 21 exams. Is everyone clear with that? But no, I'm talking about history, Molly. Right? Results presented to you in September 21 exams might be look different to the way the results are presented up to the June 21 exams so far. So the way they have been presented up to June and the way you look at them in September 21 will be different, right? Let's look at a glimpse of it. When you use data analytics, right? When the auditor uses data analytics as part of risk assessment, as part of risk assessment, the results of financial statements are thoroughly when the auditor used data analytics as part of risk assessment, the financial statements are thoroughly evaluated and then a conclusion of the key changes in financial statement data or key changes in ratio or key trends in financial statement data are identified in a form of a dashboard. Now, when the auditor actually used the data analytics as part of the risk assessment, like the big four firms, PwC, E&Y, KPMG, so when they use the data analytics as part of risk assessment and they apply the data analytics on the financial statements at the planning stage of the audit, what happens that the data analytics, when you put the data analytic techniques on the financial statements of the company, the data analytics converts the financial statement into a dashboard, and that dashboard shows you the key changes in the financial statement data over the last year, the key changes in the ratio over the last year, and the key trends in the financial data. So the data analytics converts the financial statement of a client into a dashboard, and the dashboard shows you a summary of how the data has changed. Right? Let me give you a picture of that. Look at this. Can you look at this picture in front of your screen? This is a dashboard. This dashboard is telling us that the gross profit margin. Can you see on the right hand side of the screen that the data analytics has converted the financial statement of the client into a gross profit margin graph? And can you see the data analytics is showing you how the gross profit margin has moved in 2018 and 2017? Can you see that? So if you get something like a dashboard in exam paper like this, where the results are given to you, can you identify, looking at the results in the dashboard, can you evaluate and interpret the results given to you in a variety of formats? Can you evaluate from the results that the gross profit margin has increased by 70.2% over the last year? Last year it increased by 60%. This year it has increased by 70.2%. So can you identify the risk that the sales could be overstated or the cost of goods sold can be understated? In the ICAEW exams, we know the papers of ICAEW are not freely available like the ACCA papers. But in the ICAEW exam, when I speak to my students giving the ICAEW papers, they tell me that since last 1 year, in the advanced audit and assurance paper of the ICAEW exam, the examining team is already giving the data analytics dashboard to student to assess the audit risk. Now, I think that is something which ACCA would start doing now. So ACCA can give you some results of the financial statement in a very different format. But I think this graphical image given to you in ACCA exam, something like this, for example, can you identify risk from these pictures? Can you identify what is increasing and decreasing, everyone? Right? So this is just one glimpse. Look at the second picture. Look at the second picture. I downloaded a couple of pictures just to show you the variety of ways. Look at this. See? Look at this picture. They are showing you that the gross profit margin of the company is 79%. The operating profit margin ratio is 68%. 30%, and 12%. So the results are shown in a more visual form. So that is the best thing the data analytics do. The data analytics study the financial statements of the company, and then the results are presented in a dashboard, which is more visual, which is more graphical. So do you believe this dashboard analysis really helps the auditor plan a better audit? Because this dashboard form of results really helps the auditor identify where things are increasing and decreasing. Do you believe visual results are better? Graphical results are better for the auditor to identify the risky areas in the financial statement? Right? And even for a student, it makes it easier, right? Thank you for agreeing with me, Hamza. So if results are presented to you in this way, where you know what is the gross profit margin, where you know what is the net profit margin, what you need to do, you just need to evaluate the results and you just need to interpret the results and find the risk, right? So when the auditor used data analytics as part of risk assessment, the financial statements are thoroughly evaluated, and then a conclusion of key changes in data, key changes in ratio, or key trend in the financial statement are identified in the form of dashboard. Is everyone clear with this? Do everyone know what is a dashboard now and how things are presented in a dashboard? And in the dashboard, results are presented visually or graphically. So can the examiner give you visual and graphical results? Is that the variety of formats examiner can have in the mindset? Variety of formats. Now, I believe something on that track was done in the June 21 paper. Let me show you something. Look at in front of your screen the September-December 20 paper. Can all of you see the September-December 20 paper in front of your screen? Okay. Question number 1. And in the question number 1, exhibit number 1. Exhibit number 2, background information. Exhibit number 3. See the exhibit number 3. In the exhibit number 3 of the December 20 paper, right? Can you see the examiner has presented us the selected financial information in the December 20 paper? How much is the revenue? How much is the profit? How much is the how much is the total assets? We have been given the numbers, but have we been given how much revenue has increased? That means we have to find it out. Now, you need to do an extra effort, right? How much revenue has increased? You need to find it out. What is the operating profit margin? You have to find it out. So when the results are presented through data analytics, they are already converted to percentages. You just need to look at the percentage and identify the risk. Now, if the result is presented this way, look at the December 20 results. What should be the first step here? Will you take out the calculator first? Will you find the increase in profit? Sorry, increase in revenue? Will you take out the calculator and find the operating profit margin? Do you need to do an extra step here? Do you need to do an extra step here? Everyone? Do you need to do an extra step here to find the results? And then will you interpret the results? Then will you evaluate the results as a risk? Right? Look at the March-June 21 exams. The one we were solving in the last 3 days. Can you all see the March 21 exams on your screen in the PDF format? Right? Let's go to the question number 1 of the March-June 21 exams. Okay, exhibit 1, exhibit 2, exhibit 3, exhibit 4. Okay, can you see the exhibit 4 of the March-June 21 exams on your screen? The latest one. Examiner know from September 21 I need to change the format. Examiner knows from September 21 I need to change the format. See what the examiner did in the June 21 exams. See how the results are presented in the June 21 exams and how different they are from the December 20 exams. Is the examiner giving you the current year and the last year revenue and also the percentage changes? Also the percentage changes? Is that a big change? Is the examiner giving you the percentage change in revenue, the percentage change in profit, and the percentage change in profit before tax? So has the examiner eliminated one step? So examiner is saying, don't use calculator. Just tell me what is the risk in 5.5%? What is the risk in 4.8%? What is the risk in 30%? Just tell me that. So if examiner presents you the results through data analytics starting from September 21 exams, not sure, it could be December 21 exams. What I believe is that the results presented through data analytics will already be converted to ratios and will already be converted to percentages. You just need to identify what is the risk presented by the ratio or what is the risk presented by a percentage increasing or decreasing. I hope you're all getting my perspective here. So have you seen how much difference has come in between the December 20 exam and the June 21 exams in terms of the way the numbers have been presented? Have you seen the change? How the financial data was presented in December and how the financial data was presented in June 21. I hope you appreciate that. So if you just look at the way the financial data was presented in December 20 versus June 21, I believe you get the mindset of the examiner. I hope you get the mindset of the examiner. So the way the financial data was presented in December 20 versus June 21 indicates what's going in the examiner mind, indicates what's going in examiner mind. That means examiner wants now in future exams, the results will be presented which will already be converted into percentage changes, or into ratios, and the student should only evaluate or interpret results presented to identify the risk. So I think what the examiner has done from December 20 to June 21 indicates what's going in the examiner mind. And I believe that from the September 21 exams, one step will be eliminated. That is, you convert results into percentages and ratios. Rather, the results will already be converted into percentages and ratios, and you just need to evaluate what is the risk inside them. I hope you agree with me. But see, this is just the reading of the mind. I might be reading the mind of the examiner in the right manner or the wrong manner. But somewhere in the future exam setting, whether it is September or December, you will be presented with a dashboard. So sooner or later in your AAA paper, you will see something like this. Right? Sooner or later, you will see something like this in the AAA paper. And you need to evaluate the result. Where is the risk? You need to evaluate where is something rising or falling. I hope every one of you is getting clear with what I'm trying to say. Now just let me give you a glimpse here. Look at this June 21 exams. See the operating profit. You look at the operating profit of the company, right? And the operating profit has increased by 4.8%. Whereas the profit before tax has increased by 30%. Is there a risk? Is there a risk that certain expenses are misallocated between certain expenses are misallocated? The operating profit has increased by 4.8 and the bottom line, the profit before tax, has increased by 30. Is there a risk that certain operating expenses has been understated or certain operating expenses has been misallocated between operating profit and profit before tax? Is there a risk of understatement of expenses highlighted through 30% rise in profit before tax? I hope you remember this March-June 21 question. There was a change in the fair value of $70.5 million. What if the management has not recognized the changes in the fair value of $70.5 million in the P&L? That could have converted the profit into loss. I hope you remember the question from day 2, day 3. So, examiner can present you results with percentages given, but you need to think what is the risk behind the percentages, or what risk examiner wants you to pick up behind the change in percentages. So the results in the question number 1, is that a mandatory part? Can you find a question number 1 without a financial statement data? Tell me, yes or no. Can you find a question number 1 without a financial statement data? No. But the way the examiner present the financial data, will that possibly change from September or December exams? And can the examiner present you results in a different format and expect you to evaluate it and interpret it? Is that right? So please be sure that whatever I have written with you on the Word file, just give me 1 minute, sorry. Whatever I have studied with you on this Word file, in terms of data analytics, the article, the YouTube session, the changes. I hope you're all familiar with changes now. I read every bullet with you. I tried to explain every bullet to you. And I read the mind of the examiner, that the examiner wants you to evaluate and interpret the results generated. So the results will be generated means the results will be given to you. You just need to evaluate and interpret them. They will be given in a variety of formats, but obviously the ICAEW papers are confidential. They're not publicly available. I could not have shown you, but I've just shown you some pictures to give you an illustration how things could look like in the future exams. It's not you will get something like this in September exams. Quite possible, examiner might publish a new specimen exam before examiner tests this in the December exams. That's also very possible. Right? So please ensure that you know how these changes can impact your September 2021 exams. That's one and very important thing. The next thing, if you're clear with this, you move to the last aspect of data analytics. As a student, when you look at the article, data analytics article, you should read the article, please. You cannot avoid reading this article because this article can still be examined and the examiner can ask you anything from this article. Now, just to give you a glimpse, in the September-December 20 exams, which you can see right in front of your screen now, and you look at the question number 1 of the September-December 20 exams, look at this, the 5 marks requirement. The 5 marks requirement asks you, respond to the request regarding the use of data analytics to enhance audit efficiency, effectiveness, and the quality of the group audit. 5 marks. So examiner is asking you that you need to respond to the request of the management that the use of data analytics will really enhance audit efficiency, will really enhance the audit quality, and will really enhance the audit effectiveness. 5 marks. Now, when you look at this question for 5 marks in the September-December 20 exams, that the use of data analytics enhance audit efficiency, quality, and effectiveness, which is true, examiner was just testing your knowledge that you know that the use of data analytics do result in efficiency, do result in effectiveness, and do result in quality, because this was given right in the examiner article. You read the examiner article, it tells you what is data analytics. So you can read that on your own, right? What is data analytics, right? You go down, it tells you what are the uses of data analytics. And one of the use of data analytics is that how you study the financial statement and how the financial statement is converted into a dashboard. You read it out yourself. How can data analytics be used by the audit firm? I just give you a glimpse of that how can data analytics be used by the audit firm in terms of risk assessment, in terms of interpreting the results, evaluating the results. See, it is given over here. Modeling and visualization. Modeling and visualization for the purpose of planning and performing the audit. Have I given you a picture showing you how modeling and visualization is done of the results, which helps auditor with planning? Have I shown you the modeling and visualization picture? So examiner can pick things up from this article and formulate a revised question number 1 for you. So it's very, very important for you that you read this article word by word and then realize my lecture today, and both will sync together. Okay. In this article, the examiner has given you some of the procedures you can perform using data analytics. What if in the September 21 exams, examiner asks you the recommend the audit procedures you should perform using data analytics? So should you know the procedures, examples of data analytics from this article? Please read through the procedures. I've already covered these procedures in my YouTube session. I've already explained them. Please watch that. But you cannot afford to ignore critical paragraphs from this article. Benefits of data analytics. This is what the examiner asks for in the September-December 20 paper. That what are the benefits of data analytics in improving the efficiency, effectiveness, and quality of audit? And every benefit you will write in the September-December 20 exam will give you 1 mark to a maximum of 5 marks. So please read this article word by word and be sure that you know everything from this article. I hope you will do it. So is everyone getting a clear picture of the syllabus changes? Is everyone clear with the analysis I done around the syllabus changes? And is everyone clear that you have to read this article, data analytics, and you have to watch my YouTube session on data analytics? Is everyone clear through and sound?